Hello, I'm Leslie Klein, your host of Good Vibes TV. This is a program where we learn how to raise our vibration so we can thrive. Did you know that we are vibrational beings? Everything is energy and everything is vibration. And the way we can tell where we're vibrating at is what emotion are we experiencing right now. Emotions like fear and hate are lower vibrations. And as you go up the scale uh, to love and gratitude and appreciation, we raise our vibration. Our vibration attracts things into our life that are like. So this is how we create our world. And I am so thankful that our guest today is Terri Di Mauro. She is the Relationchick. She is a relationship coach and published author who loves to help people release their toxic relationships. Welcome, Terri, to the show.
Hi, Leslie. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're very welcome. So tell us about yourself. How did you get into the relationship coaching business?
Yeah, I absolutely love how you were describing ourselves as vibrational beings, because that's actually what got me into doing my coaching finally. So I am a relationship coach, and I help people who are ready to kick toxic relationships and habits to the curb by guiding them through the process of developing healthy and positive connections with themselves and the people in their life. And what led me to this is that, quite simply put, I spent a good majority of my life dealing with anxiety. And for a very, very long time, it was undiagnosed. So I was, as you might say, in a very negative vibe, a very low vibe for a very long time. And what happened was it started manifesting itself in and around grade 3. So around grade 3, I started getting anxiety associated with going to school, and I started missing days and days and days of school. The problem was that nobody really understood that this was a symptom of the anxiety and not just attention seeking. So I was being told over and over again that I was faking it, or I was just trying to get attention, being the youngest of 3. So I was never validated on what I was feeling. And as I continued on, because it was undiagnosed, it just got worse. And in my teen years, suffered horrible insomnia. I was fortunate that I didn't have issues with making friends, but I did feel extremely overwhelmed a lot of the time and didn't want to go out. As I started working in my early adult life, I had trouble keeping jobs, and it was all because of this underlying anxiety disorder. So finally, around the time I was about 30, a little bit less, I would say 29, I finally got my diagnosis. And if you think about that, from grade 3 to almost 30 years old, that's a huge chunk of time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that I got a diagnosis for my disorder. I was finally starting to get treatment. And that made such a huge difference. It was talk therapy, and it was medication for myself. Mm-hmm. And that I say to everybody, as soon as I started doing that, I finally started taking part in my own life. I wasn't just having it happen to me anymore. I was actively participating in it. So this is where my vibe went from one of anxiety and fear and overwhelm and started to come up. And I started experiencing love, and I started experiencing gratitude. Mm-hmm. And it's because people took the time to say to me, yeah, what you're feeling is 100% valid. Mm-hmm. It's 100% valid. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't have. So I wanted to be someone who could offer that. Mm-hmm. And that's where the coaching really came through. I wanted to be that person who someone could come to and say, hey, something's not feeling right, and validate that and help them figure out how to move forward.
So what was the big key in helping you shift? Was it the medication? and the talk therapy? Was there a certain technique or something that you used?
Yes, so it was a good combination of both. I certainly, the medication I'm on, I do believe I'll be on for life just because it balances me out. The talk therapy is where I gained the tools that I needed to deal with what I was feeling and my emotions, when I could stop and identify that they weren't right for the situation, and I had to learn how to act appropriately and not catastrophize situations or think the worst of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best technique I learned, though, was being aware of the negative self-talk. And that was something that I didn't realize I was doing as often as I was.
Mm-hmm.
So for a very long time, and I still do, but I use humor to kind of like mask uncomfortable situations, or if I'm like feeling upset, I might crack a joke. What my therapist enlightened me to is the fact that your mind doesn't hear a joke, it hears the words you're saying. And once I kind of got that into my head and I started to realize that I was saying a lot of not so great things to myself. So being able to change that and phrase things differently. So in the morning, you're making a cup of coffee and it spills everywhere.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, oh, well, it's going to be a horrible day. Yeah, it's going to be a horrible day. But I don't do that anymore. Now I'm just like, okay, interesting. This is how we're going to go.
Right. Flip it. Awesome. All right. Well, when we come back, let's talk more about that, ways to flip the switch to something positive.
All right.
Welcome back to Good Vibes TV. I'm your host, Leslie Klein, and today our guest is Terri Di Mauro. She is the Relationchick and also a relationship coach and published author. Welcome back, Terri. Thank you so much for being on the show. We were talking about vibrations and energy and flipping the switch so that when we're in those lower vibrations, how do we get to make that shift in state?
Absolutely. So a term that you may have heard before or not is mindfulness. And it's really being present in the moment as it's happening. And even if it's a negative moment for you, you're going to be able to kind of go into it and pull the positive out of it. So one technique that you can use to help you kind of switch your frame of thinking is to, instead of say I'm having a problem, you can rephrase it as saying, okay, I'm being faced with a challenge. So now you already automatically feel like there's a solution. If something is a challenge, there must be a solution to it. It's no longer a problem. So it starts to feel a little bit lighter. The next step is to now phrase it as an opportunity. And you're not saying, this horrible thing is happening, there's got to be an opportunity to it. What you're saying is, I'm being faced with an experience that is giving me an opportunity to be creative and find a solution that might be more difficult to find or that others might miss. So in doing this, you're taking the power that the negativity has over you, and you're turning it in on itself, and now you're having it work for you. It's a really great feeling to be in a situation and to be able to stop, own it, and gain power over it.
Mm-hmm. Now, we've been going through this situation with the great pause, some people call it. It's caused a lot of stress for a lot of people, a lot of relationships. What are some things that you recommend to help kind of get out of that funk and get moving again?
I mean, we as humans are social beings, and we thrive on a sense of community. So it has been extremely difficult for everybody to be going through this, to have, our relationships basically taken away from us. And we've gotten really creative on how to keep them going. We've got Zoom, and we've got Facebook chat, and we've got StreamYard, and it's amazing. And it's helping us stay connected. The biggest thing you want to be sure you're doing is communicating with those around you. It's very important, especially in romantic relationships. So husband and wife, wife, whatever have you, and in families, that you are communicating your needs. And you need to realize that you're not being selfish when you do so. In fact, you're actually being even less selfish, because when you communicate your needs clearly, then your partner or your family, whomever, will be able to better understand you and meet those needs. So it's a way of actually moving forward together. And you want to make sure that both parties are doing that, and that nobody feels like they can't be heard or they can't say what they're feeling.
So the first step in communication is knowing what you want, and then making sure to tell that to the other person, to let them know what you're needing.
Yes. And honestly, sometimes my husband and I will look at each other and we'll say, I'm not feeling good. And the other one will say, okay, well, what's up? I don't know. I don't know what's getting me down, but something's not right. And then you can work together to kind of uncover it. Very
cool. And you wrote a book called 7 Days to a More Positive You. Tell us just a little bit about that book.
Yes, 7 Days to a More Positive You. It is a book of affirmations and guided reflections. So why affirmations and guided reflections? Affirmations are amazing because they help you start to change your framework of thinking again. Same thing as what we were doing when we were faced with a problem that became a challenge. Affirmations help you believe something that is true about yourself. So a simple one in words is, I am beautiful. And a lot of people will say, yeah, sure, I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. But when you actually sit down and think about it and internalize it and feel it, are you living a life that shows that you're beautiful? So each of the affirmations in the book comes with a bit of a guided reflection afterwards to apply it to your life. And a reason as to why it's an important affirmation to practice.
Very cool. Yeah. So that book is available through your website.
Yes.
And when we get back from this break, you have some more information for our audience, our viewers, when we get back right after this break. back to Good Vibes TV. I'm your host, Leslie Klein, and today our guest has been Terri Di Mauro. She is the Relationchick, and she is has also a published author. She also has a special offer for our guests on Good Vibes TV. So tell us more about that.
Thanks, Leslie. Yes, so if you go to my website, on the very first page, on the home page, there will be a button where you can download a copy of my PDF, and it is called Jumpstarting a Better Relationship with Yourself. And in there, there's going to be some tips and tricks, some planners that will help you kind of map out your day and make sure you're on a good page with yourself as well as your tasks. And it even includes a couple of pages from the book we just spoke about, 7 Days to a More Positive You. So it's an absolutely free download. It'll be on the very first page of the website.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So we were talking about relationships and how important it is to communicate what we need to the other person, and making sure that communication is happening. Now, what happens when you're with each other so much 24/7? Doesn't that kind of wear on you a lot? Or not just you, I mean, everyone.
And of course it does. I mean, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and we can't get away from each other. So
Right.
it is very challenging. But I think it's important, with understanding that you find ways to give each other some alone time and some space. If there's, for example, my husband and I are each working on courses right now. So a few times during the week, instead of watching TV after dinner, we'll each go to our offices and we'll study. And just that little bit of alone time, me time, personal development time is really, really crucial for both of us, because it's just us and our son. And our son is going through a very emotional 4-year-old stage right now. So we definitely both need some of our own time to kind of wind down at the end of the day.
Right. He's 4 years old now, your son?
Yeah, that's right. He just had his birthday last week.
Yes, I saw that. It was very cool. He's a cutie for sure. So we've talked about your book. We've talked about your particular story. Is there any message that you have for the audience, especially if they're really not in a good place? What are some words of wisdom to kind of get them out of that and to start making the raising their vibration and going in the right direction?
I mean, the first thing you want to know is that you truly are not alone. And it's hard to believe that these days, because we feel so isolated. But there are a lot of people who are experiencing the same things. And guess what? We're doing things that we were never really supposed to. If you're a stay-at-home parent, or you're working from home and you have kids doing online schooling, and you're responsible for keeping up with your job and raising your kids and keeping your house and helping them with online schooling, and you're not supposed to be doing all of that. That's why we have teachers. That's why we have offices. The pandemic has really put an extra burden on a lot of people. And I say burden just meaning just an extra weight. And it's happening everywhere. So if you are
another responsibility.
Absolutely. And so if you are feeling overwhelmed, you're allowed to. You are absolutely allowed to be freaking out right now. But it's really important that you decide to put yourself first. And the saying is to fill your bucket or fill your cup first. And to do that, it might be seeking out a coach or a therapist, or having a standing appointment with your BFF on Zoom, just so that you guys can unload. They're all really important.
Now you have an option for people to contact you and do a discovery call. What's that like?
That's right. So again, through the website, you're able to book a free 15-minute discovery call with me. And in that time, I ask you to give me like a little bit of a bio, if where you work, if you're working, if you're married, if you have kids, give me a general idea of kind of what a day in the life is for you. And then also if you know what some of your blocks or challenges are, let me know. If you don't, that's okay too, because I'm there to help you figure them out. And then we also just go through some of the logistics and how sessions will be run, and the contract that will need to be signed for client and coach. And then we can get started with your sessions.
Awesome. Well, there we have it, the relationchick.com. And basically, when you have access to a computer 24/7, you can go to that website and reach out to you, make that connection. Because, we have been going through a lot of stress, and it's important to find a way out of it. And that's the whole point of the show, to reach out to experts like you, Terri, to help us make that shift and create a better life for us and for everyone. So thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for your knowledge. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being here, Leslie. It was fantastic.
And thank you, viewers, for being on the show, for watching the show. I want you to go to our website. It is good-vibes.tv. And it'll take you to the Facebook page where you can like us and follow us. And I do have some Good Vibes TV merchandise, mugs, tote bags, things like that will be on the website. So when you go to goodvibes.tv, find out more about us. Thank you for watching, and remember to raise your vibe so you can thrive.